Hello everyone, my name is Legend Ronnie and this game is Rise of Civilization. I have been asked this question for a couple of times. People requested a pairing commander video. So here it is, you keep asking me about this one. So this is the video that I'm going to talk about right now. I will try to help you the best way I can to pair your commander, or what would be the best setups for your commander. So let me get into the game. I'm going to start with the epic commanders. There will be a lot to talk about it, so I cannot do all commanders in one video. So this video is going to be mainly about epic commanders. After that I will do the legendary ones and so on. The first thing that you should know before I go any further, I have talents video for talents specific commanders, all the builds. You just have to search them, or you can check the description of the video. I will put the links into the description of the video. You'll find from the legendary ones as well. Epic commanders. Talking about their skills, what I can say is that you'll be able to maximize their skills with the resources that you get in game. So participating into the events or doing your daily activities, opening chests and doing much more other stuff that are available. When they will be available, you will be able to maximize their skills using your in-game resources. This is why I'm trying to talk about the epic ones, because I know many of you don't really like to spend. So this is going to help you quite a lot. So pairing up the commanders. I usually start from the top down, but this time I'm going to start from the bottom up. Alright? So the first one is going to be Pelagius. Now Pelagius is a epic commander, since I'm already mentioning that I'm going to talk about epic commander, but he is in the same time a cavalry, garrison and a skill commander. Now you're probably wondering how would be the best way you can use your Pelagius. As I mentioned about the talents, there is a link into the description for the talents. As part of his skills, so he has an insane direct damage factor, additional damage factor and rage restoration. Keep that in mind. Then he has an insane attack and defense bonus to your cavalry. Then it comes the garrison bonus, which is not going to help you in PvP, healing factor, and his expertise, additional damage to your cavalry. Now unfortunately there isn't another epic cavalry commander. So the best way you could pair up your Pelagius, the best one and or the first option in my opinion would probably be Boudica. So this is my first options that I would go with Pelagius. But as I mentioned, Pelagius main commander. So Pelagius main commander and Boudica second commander. In terms of talents for Pelagius, I would go with the skill ones. You can see here that this is no longer the nuker, is the skill ones. This is the talent that I would go with. There is the video for it if you want to check the talents. And after that I would go with the cavalry path. And this one used to increase the skill damage. Now it's reduced the skill damage. And I would go for more march speed. You can see he can get a lot more march speed following the skill path, and then go on the cavalry path to get more skill for your cavalry. Or the secondary option, you can go for more rage. So since you have the skill one, you want to generate more rage. So it's two options. You want to have more mobility with your nuking skill, or you want to generate more rage. I would personally go to generate more rage. Now the first option is Boudica. Now the reason I'm saying Boudica is because it's all about the synergy of the skills. So how the skills actually work together. First of all, Boudica has a bonus damage factor. So bringing only cavalry with Pelagius is something that I would advise. First of all, you have a better mobility just using cavalry. I've proven in my live stream videos when I was using Boudica with just cavalry, and I was showing that the mobility of the cavalry So bringing only cavalry with Pelagius, even if his talents are on skills, is gonna help you a lot because you have mobility. Then Boudica is going to boost their damage with a chance of doing additional damage. Boudica has a healing factor and rage restoration. Both of them, they are nukers. So bear that in mind, both of them, they are nukers, so they both have rage restoration and healing. So that means you'll be able to keep your troops count high, you'll restore more energy, so that means you're going to nuke more with these two commanders. After that, she has her nuking or damage factor ability, and she also decreased the attack of enemy troops or the target troops. The second one that could work with Pelagius, and it might surprise you, would be Joan of Arc. Mainly for the same reason. The reason I put Joan of Arc as a second one is because Joan of Arc doesn't have a nuking skill, but all the rage that she will manage to restore from that nuking talent pad is gonna help her boost up her main skill. Now she also has an increased normal attack damage by 25%, so if you have only cavalry, your cavalry will do a lot more damage. Then she has a heal, which is gonna stack up with the Pelagius heal. That's the reason I chose Boudica. And as I mentioned, her main skill, which also grants an additional rage. Plus is going to increase the defense of your cavalry. Now Pelagius, when he obtains his expertise, you can already get 15% defense on your cavalry. 15%. If Joan of Arc is going to use her main skill as often as possible, that's another 30% bonus, so that's going to add up, so you have a lot of defense on your cavalry. You have the passive damage from Joan 4 skill, and you have the healing. So Joan of Arc would be the second option. You could go with Pelagius. After that, another viable option would be Scipio. So this would be the third option that I would choose with Pelagius. Now you're probably wondering why, but obviously, as I mentioned, Pelagius first. So in all the setups that I'm saying, or when I'm talking about one of these commander, he is the main commander. So another option for Pelagius would be Scipio. The reason, first of all, Scipio has this unique skill that allows you to bring 10% more troops into the battle. So let's say you can usually bring 150,000 troops, alright? With this 10% you can bring 165,000 troops. So you already have a 10% advantage against your opponent. Then Scipio has his second skill, which it works every 5 seconds. When you obtain his expertise, which I already done it, you have a 15% chance, and I have to say that this 15% chance is kinda goes in whenever is available, to increase your own troops attack by 10%, by 100%, I'm sorry, for the next 2 seconds, and the effect can be triggered every 5 seconds. And then you have a healing factor when the army is less than 40%. Well, we all know when the army is about 40%, you're either running away. But if you're winning, you're obviously gonna be still there, so it's gonna help you. 500 healing factor. Then you have damage reduction and counter-attack damage. So this is what I'm trying to say, the synergy of the skills. How are they going to benefit or boost your army? So this would be the third option that I would go with Pelagius. These three commanders that I'm mentioning over here, Boudica, Scipio, Joan of Arc, these are not army specific commanders. They don't have a specialty like Pelagius has for cavalry. So these three commanders, they mainly can make pairs with almost anyone for that particular reason. Now another option that can work with Pelagius, but this would be like the fourth one, because this is mostly an archer commander. Alright, so this is mainly an archer commander, so that's why I would put Hermann on 4. But Hermann has the same ability, has a chance increase normal attack damage of troops which is great, 10%, and attacks have an up to 10% chance to grant an additional 100 rage. So that is again rage restoration. So it's gonna help these two guys so they keep pounding the enemy. But as I mentioned, he is an archer guide, so basically this particular skill is not gonna benefit you at all in PvP. And then he has a garrison one. But he has the main skill, and once you obtain his expertise, that's at 1150 damage factor for an epic commander. That is quite a lot. And silence the target for 2 seconds. Well, everyone is telling me that they don't really see a difference on that silence, or if it actually does anything. But the 1150 damage factor, that is real. So that's why Hermann would be a fourth option for your Pelagius for this particular reason. Rage restoration, a little bit more damage to your troops, and the nuking skill. They are both nukers. Right, so I gave you pretty good 4 options for your Pelagius. Epic ones. Now in terms of legendary ones, there is quite a lot of them. The first option would most likely be Minamoto. The second option can be Double C, which is this guy, for the same reason. Nuking, cavalry bonus, healing, same is Minamoto. He has nuking, he has cavalry, and he is debuffing the enemy so they get more damage if you ever manage to obtain his expertise. After that, another viable option with Pelagius would be Frederick. You have nuking, you have healing, and you have more troops capacity. But I'll be very fair with you, legendary, they are very hard to upgrade. They are very hard to level up. I'm playing for 4 months and I have a maxed out legendary. Obviously, if I put money into the game, up to VIP 9 you can max out another legendary. So if I want to spend another $150, I can max out Minamoto and I can have 2 maxed out legendary. But Minamoto is a great nuker and I don't really need nukers. So I gave you some 3 legendary options for Pelagius as well. Now, Eulji Mundeok. Talents I already mentioned, there's gonna be a link in the description for the talents if you wanna check that one. I also have to say something, that Eulji Mundeok would be the best garrison commander. So if you don't want to use Eulji Mundeok in your PvP and you want to use his talents for garrison, I have built his garrison talents path. He is very unique, and I'm not sure if I should say that I'm sorry, but it's pretty a waste that he is kind of unique on this particular talent path. Why I'm saying that? He is the only epic, or I could say the only commander, maybe, that has garrison and attack. Most of the other epic garrison commanders, they have garrison and skill. The other infantry commanders, they have infantry and defense and garrison. So the legendary ones, they are the best garrison commanders. But as an epic commander, as a free-to-play option, Eulji Mundeok is the best garrison commander that you can get. In the same time, he is the best infantry commander that you can get. So this is why I'm saying that it is a waste. So I'm pretty sorry to see it like this. Just one commander like this. So you have an option. You want to go full you want to use him for infantry, or you want to use him for garrison. As a free to play, he's gonna do great for both, because he has this attack path which is pretty unique. Infantry and attack, garrison and attack. Now the pairs that I'm going to talk about is mainly for PvP. And what I didn't mention about Pelagius, if you want to use him as a garrison commander, you'll find his garrison talent tree as well. He will do great in garrison because of the healing and nuking. But Eulji would be the best option for a garrison commander as free to play. Right, now the next step I'm gonna talk about the setups that would Eulji Mundeok work for PvP. And as I mentioned, it's gonna be the same. It's about the synergy of the skills that is going to benefit your army. So the first option that I would go with Eulji Mundeok as an infantry commander would be Scipio. You're probably wondering why. Same thing. The unique fact that you can have more infantry into your group, 10%. Then Scipio has this skill which increases the troops attack by 100%. Well, if you go back on Eulji, we have his Eulji main skill which reduced the defense of the target by 30%. At some point into the battle, how many times or if these two skills they are going to work together. So for example, Eulji Mundeok is gonna nuke your target, is gonna reduce the defense, and then for the next 2 seconds Scipio second skill is gonna go in. Well, that's gonna be quite a significant amount of damage for the enemy target. Then you have a chance for this one, a 10% chance which doesn't have a cooldown, so this one can go in whenever, another 100% damage bonus. So there is quite a lot of bonus that these two commanders can bring for your infantry. And since he already has the talents for attack, you do infantry and attack, I have the video for it, you'll have quite a lot of attack bonus even if you only have infantry. Now, the reason why Scipio is the first one is for the simple fact that you also have damage taken reduced by 25% from the main skill and counter attack damage bonus, which is a bonus. Now the second option that I would go with Eulji Mundeok would most likely be Boudica.
My enemies will choke on their own blood.
For the same reason. Damage bonus, you have healing, rage restoration, you have nuking and decreasing the attack of target's troops. Now I have to say that these other setups that I'm saying, they are good. Not the best, not very good, they are just good. The best one that Eulji Mundeok could go is with Scipio. Now another viable option is obviously Joan of Arc. The reasons is these last two skills of Joan of Arc: healing and increasing the attack of your infantry. Since you already have an attack pad, so your infantry is gonna do a lot of damage, more than any other infantry setups. This is gonna increase the damage and you have a bit of healing. Increasing their health, not entirely sure how much that is going to help, but you also gain an additional of 50 rage restoration. So that means that it's going to help Eulji Mundeok to do his main skill. Now unfortunately this is pretty limited for epic ones. Obviously, if you want to go for full infantry build, you have Charles Martel, you have Richard as other viable option. There isn't really much to talk. Richard and Charles Martel, they are just pure awesome. After Richard and Charles Martel would probably be Caesar if you want to go, and Frederick for full infantry. But as I mentioned, I'm saying the epic ones first because I'm trying to help the free to play. Legendary ones, they are very hard to upgrade. Alright, so I'm talking about epic commanders, but I have to give you options because these are options that can work. So if you want to spend into the game and you want to use Eulji Mundeok as the main commander, it can work with these legendary ones as well. Now the next one on the list is gonna be Sun Tzu. Now you're noticing that Sun Tzu is an infantry garrison and a skill. Now in my opinion, infantry and garrison are pretty next to zero for Sun Tzu. What does he do? Reduce damage taken by the garrison when this commander serving as a garrison commander by 7%. Well, I have to say that 7% damage reduction, it is something. But if we look at his skills, his main, his third and his last skill, he is specialized on nuking. So he has nothing to do with infantry. What does his infantry bonus do? Increase the health and damage taken reduced. Increase troops damage reduction by 10%. Increase infantry units health by 10%. Alright, so if I'm reading correct, that means that it's going to reduce damage taken by 10% to all the troops and only infantry health by 10%. So how does that make him an infantry commander? It beats me. What I would use Sun Tzu, and its area of utility is pretty thin. You know, it's pretty small. It narrows the path just like this. Is for group damage. I have to say that in battles, in group battles, when there are big wars and there are a lot of groups fighting a lot of groups, Sun Tzu will excel like a beast. In those particular moments, he will be a very, very good commander doing area damage. The reason why, when you obtain his expertise, that's 800 damage factor plus 200, so that's 1000 damage factor to a maximum of 5 targets, and he gains 50 rage for each target hit. Now, as terms of the talents, the skill talents is the only path that I would advise for Sun Tzu, the skill path. And as I mentioned, you'll find the video into the description for that. Infantry, I'm not really down for it. Garrison, but the skill path for Sun Tzu for PvP, this is what he is good at. If you don't have any of the option and your Sun Tzu is high, he's maxed out, and you actually want to use him for garrison, you will find on the video, you'll find the talent path for the garrison. Or if you want to try him for infantry, you'll have that talent path as well. But this is how I would advise Sun Tzu for skill, for the amount of rage restoration that he can bring into the battle. Now, who would be his best pair? In my opinion, would be Kusunoki as part of epics. They both do fan-shaped area damage. That means they would both do AoE nuke damage in the same time. The second epic, well, that's not really epic. That's more an advanced commander, if I'm correct. Elite, I'm sorry. An elite commander would be Tomoe Gozen. For the fact that he's gonna grant him another 50% skill damage, he's gonna help him restore the rage, debuff your main target, and increase the attack bonus of your troops. So he would be a second option that I would use with Sun Tzu. A third option, and it might surprise you, would be Joan of Arc. And you're probably wondering why. Well, the simplest reason, as I mentioned at the beginning, I would use him in large group fight. And that's where Joan is going to excel, in large group fights. Why? Because her main skill is not just going to buff your troops, it's going to buff all your friendly troops that are gonna be in that particular area. So you're gonna buff your entire allies if you have Joan of Arc with you. So Sun Tzu main skill can hit, if the expertise is unlocked, can hit up to 5 targets. That brings him up to 250 rage. Then Joan of Arc can restore another 50 rage. So that's going to be a lot of rage. And not to mention that talents only work from the main commander. So if your Sun Tzu is going to be the main commander, then it's going to benefit Joan of Arc as well. So the amount of rage restoration is going to be insane. So you're going to buff and you're going to help your allies quite significantly. First with nuking and then with buffing. So there you go. Joan of Arc is a decent pair for your boy Sun Tzu. Not to mention that you have heal and more damage to your troops. Another epic options would obviously can be Boudica, because I mentioned already about them. They're like general commanders, and she already has a rage restoration as well, so it's gonna help both Boudica and Sun Tzu. And obviously Hermann, for the same reason, rage restoration and damage disabling. But when you fight with Sun Tzu or Pelagius, I didn't mention about that, you should try to avoid direct damage. So you should not be the one that engage directly into the battle. That's why you have tanking setups with infantry, like I just mentioned about our boy Eulji Mundeok. Now, as part of the legendaries, the best pair for Sun Tzu would be YSG. Why? It's obvious, both hit up to 5 targets. Sun Tzu does a lot of rage restoration, alright? Then this guy does rage restoration as well with his second skill. Not to mention, if you ever in your life manage to max out YSG, 1700 damage factor, that is literally an insane amount of damage. So if you use Sun Tzu with this particular guy, you'll have a tremendous amount of area damage. The second legendary option for your boy Sun Tzu would be Richard. Now how about that? Probably didn't expect that. But it's Richard. Not the fact that they are both infantry, but for the simple fact of the main skill of Richard. First of all, Sun Tzu is gonna help him restore a lot of rage, and on the skill path it's also going to help Richard to regenerate a lot of rage. So what is that going to benefit them both? So Sun Tzu is gonna be a nuking machine, and then you have Richard, which is gonna be your healing machine. So Richard is gonna keep your troops high, the count of your troops high, and Sun Tzu is just gonna keep pounding and pounding your enemy. As fast as Richard is going to keep using his skill, is not just going to keep your troops count high, but is also going to reduce the damage of your troops. So there you go. One hand wash the other. And that would be the only 2 legendary options I would personally go with Sun Tzu. You might say it might be Frederick, because Frederick is again general commander, is like the other 3 epic ones that I mentioned. He can be used almost everywhere, so you can bring like another 15% troops with you. You have a crazy nuking skill, healing in the same time, which is not bad, maxed out 1000 healing factor. But I already mentioned it would be YSG and Richard, and I mentioned in the beginning about Sun Tzu, limited area of utility, group fights. Alright, now the next one on the list is gonna be our boy Lohar. Everyone is talking about Lohar, there is crazy. The best way you can find, or the best thing that I can say the first as Lohar, I have done a guide, an updated guide for Lohar, and that's where you can find his talent tree. You just have to search Commander Spotlight Lohar. If you do that, if you search that on YouTube, it's gonna pop up, and you're also going to find a lot of pairs for Lohar. But I'm gonna say them in this video as well. What I have to say about Lohar, Lohar is a PvE commander. That is the first thing I have to say. So that means that you should try to avoid PvP with Lohar. Why? For the obvious reason of his skills. I'm gonna start from the back up. So his 4th skill, healing factor, when leaving the battle. Alright, his expertise is gonna boost that healing factor. The next one, experience bonus, which is great by all commanders in the current army, up to 70%. That sounds awesome. That's not gonna help you in PvP. Then you have this skill, increased damage dealt to barbarians. That's awesome again, super cool, but that's not gonna help you in PvP again. So all these skills, they are useless in PvP, they're not gonna help you. This one, it can only benefit you if you keep going into the battle. You start losing troops, then you leave the battle, you go into the battle. For 2000 healing factor, I'm not sure if it actually gonna work to keep going in and back, because you lose rage as well, so you cannot use skills. It has to be tested, but this would be the only way that could actually benefit from this one. You leave the battle, you get the battle report, you go in, but then you lose a lot of time. It's pretty not worth it. In terms of barbarians, PvE, neutral, guardians, anything that doesn't involve PvP, he is a beast. He is a beast, 35% damage bonus, more experience. He is one of the best. Him and Boudica, they are the only 2 commanders from all the commanders that actually have experience bonus. Yeah, they are the only 2 commanders that have that. Lohar is very easy to upgrade if you're in an active alliance on the new server. Once the first Lohar event is gonna pop up, everyone is gonna go crazy. You're probably gonna max him out in a day. I don't exaggerate, but anyway, in a day, or let's just say a better number, 2 weeks. 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'll manage to max him out. But maxing out, when I'm referring to maxing out, I'm referring about his skills. In terms of levels, do not make any worries. With that amount of experience bonus, he's gonna skyrocket to the levels. In terms of talents, you will find the best talent guide on the commander spotlight for Lohar that I just did. Who can be he paired with? Well, as long as he's the main commander, he can be paired with anyone. Anyone. Why? Because his main purpose, the main purpose of Lohar is to boost the experience of your other commander. It's gonna help you level your favorite commander. So your favorite commander is gonna go through the levels using your Lohar and using the talents from the commander spotlight video that I just mentioned. There isn't any more I want to talk about him. That's it. Next one on the list is Kusunoki. Now, Kusunoki is an archer commander on the same time garrison. As I mentioned, you're going to find the link in the description for his talents. He has a unique skill over here which says normal attacks of troops have a 10% chance to deal additional damage, up to 450 damage factor each second for 2 seconds. Well, that sounds really cool on the paper. In total will be at 900 additional damage factor, and it doesn't say there that it has any cooldown, so it can basically go in one after another. So that sounds really a really good skill. Then he has attack and defense on your archer. Well, this is something that I'm not really happy when I see defense on archers, because archers, they are nuking troops. All the archers, they are nuker commanders, skill talent path. So they are all nukers. You don't need defense. You don't use them to tank damage. You use them to deal damage. And that's what you need them to do. But anyway, he has defense, so your archers will have a slightly better survivability. But then he has the main skill, which is a fan shape area damage. Now, in my opinion, who would be the best in slot for your Kusunoki will most likely be Sun Tzu, because I already mentioned about it. I already mentioned about this particular setup, but will be for the purpose of the area damage, because they both do area damage. I personally am not really happy about this type of commanders because they can attract too much attention, and they are commanders that don't really have much defense. So if 2-3 people jump on you, and you're probably gonna bounce off, you know what I mean? That makes you not pretty usable. If they are nukers with a single target, that is a different situation, because you can just go on one target, so if he switch on you, it's a little bit better, even if you get targeted by just one rather than get targeted by 3 or 5. And if no one is gonna hit you and you're actually managing to pound 3 or 5 guys with your AoE skills, you're gonna do great. So it's all going to matter about your master of combat, how you will be able to control your army on the battlefield. Pay attention how many people are hitting you and all that. So the Sun Tzu would be the first option, as I mentioned, for this particular reason, for nuking. The second option would be Hermann. Why? Because they are the only 2 epic archer commanders. So if you want to take only archers, Hermann could help you boost your archers as much as possible. Hermann also has rage restoration. They are also both nukers, so they can all both help your archers and do a lot of damage in the same time. With Kusunoki, I would advise to try to bring as many or only archers if you can. Then obviously the other options for your boy Kusunoki is gonna be Joan of Arc. And why is Joan of Arc next? Increase the archer's unit attack by 30% with the main skill, another 25% attack with the 4 skill, and then you have a bit of healing. Next option after Joan of Arc would be Boudica. And if you don't have any other options, you can go even with Scipio. Well, Boudica, already mentioning about them, you have damage bonus, you have healing, rage restoration, and they are both nukers. Then Scipio, for the fact that you can bring more troops, damage bonus, and some damage reduction. That's why I put in the last, because you know these are nuker combination, nuker setups, so damage reduction is kind of the last thing that you would want to. As part of the legendary ones, is pretty thin. Would be YSG, Frederick, and that would be it. I wouldn't really pair him with anyone else. After Kusunoki, we have Hermann. Our boy Hermann needs some love, yo. Right. One thing that is very unique about Hermann is the Archer march speed, which I didn't mention about it. Then he has rage restoration, which I already mentioned. He has normal attack, and he has a lot of nuking. The first option, and it might sound as crazy as you think, but the first options that I would go with Hermann, and this is the setup that I want to try, would be Tomoe Gozen. When my Hermann is gonna be ready for my full archer setup, this is gonna be the first setup that I'm gonna try with him, Tomoe Gozen, because they both have march speed for archers. So I really want to see how that 15% march speed from these two commanders is actually gonna be on the battlefield. Plus, Tomoe Gozen is going to increase the skill damage bonus of Hermann, which Hermann already has 1150 damage factor, so another 15% is gonna be great. damage reduction to the target, and bonus to my archers. So this is gonna be the first option that I'm going to try with my Hermann. But Hermann, I did not mention, is gonna be on archer path. So with Tomoe Gozen, my Hermann is gonna be on archer path, not on the skill path. The next option that I would go with Hermann would be with Joan of Arc, but still full army of archers. Alright, so still full army of archers. And on that time, Hermann would be on skill path with Joan of Arc. After that would most likely be Boudica.
My enemies will choke on their own blood.
And then it's gonna be between Scipio and Pelagius. Now the reason is Pelagius is for the simple fact that the amount of rage restoration they can bring together and the healing bonus. But I would skip Pelagius, I would rather use Scipio. I wouldn't really pair him with Pelagius, so just stay with Scipio. Now Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, I mentioned about her. I already done a spotlight, so if you want to go ahead and check Commander Spotlight Joan of Arc, if you want to search for it, she serves the best as a second in command. Now I had some people telling me that they are using her as a main commander and she is very annoying for the enemy troops, and the person is telling me that he is using Joan of Arc with Cleopatra on the full support talent pad. Now I cannot prove that as I haven't used it. If you want to do that, that means you're going to have to sacrifice a very good gatherer. Okay, and then you have to level her up. Well, I personally don't really find that helpful. I do understand Rejuvenate is a lot of restoration, a lot of rage, so that means that she's going to keep using her main skill. But I gave you a lot of options with a lot of commanders that have a lot of rage restoration, so you can benefit from the main skill of Joan of Arc, so you can boost your troops, your ally, your friendly troops on the battlefield if there's gonna be massive battles. So I already gave you options for that particular for that particular build. I wouldn't really put her talents on support. I would keep her as a gatherer, and so be it. So as a second in command, I already gave you a lot of options where she can be used. There is no more to talk about her. Now it's Scipio's turn. Scipio, leadership, conquering, and attack. As part... Wow, they changed this name. This name used to be sieging. Now it's conquering. Alright. What do I have to say about Scipio? Well, you're going to find his talents, his one and only talent path for Scipio. You're going to find it on the Epic Commander video that you'll find in the link of the description. And this is kind of the only path that works with Scipio. Leadership and attack, and I would use that even for sieging, if that's how you want to say, or when you attack other players' cities. This is the path that I would use with Scipio. Well, this is not done yet, so if you want to see the full one, you have to check the Epic Commander video as part of his talents. Now, who could Scipio work with? Now, from my testing and what I have tested with other players, I found that using one specific group of troops is gonna help you a lot more than using mixture of troops. So this is something that you might want to keep in mind.
I fight for my
Now the
lost
best
freedom
pairs
and my
for
outraged
Scipio,
daughters.
believe it or not, would be Eulji as part of the epic ones. The first one would be Eulji Mundeok. The second one
I fight for my
would
lost
be
freedom
Boudica.
and my
Now the reason I'm
outraged
saying Eulji, I already mentioned about his skills. I already when I talk about Eulji, I already mentioned why is the synergy of the skills. How could the skills of the two can work together, even if Eulji Mundeok is an infantry. The second one would be Boudica, and I already mentioned what
My
and
enemies
why
will choke on their
for
own
the skills
blood.
of Boudica. Is for damage, healing, and the nuking part. Then you have Joan of Arc. Well, unfortunately, Scipio and Joan of Arc in the past used to be like the best combination, but now because she increases attack, she is no longer the best combination for Scipio. She is like the third combination that I would use with Scipio, because now she increases attack, but you still get healing and you still get bonus and rage restoration for your Scipio, bonus to your troops and rage restoration. Now this is kind of the only combination that I would try to put the Scipio in when he is going to be a main commander, because most of the other commanders they are nukers, so they would benefit a lot more from some nuking talent pad. But because of the other skill I mentioned, it's gonna work with Eulji and it's gonna work with Boudica as well. Now, as part of the legendary ones, for your boy Scipio, you can definitely pair him with Richard I. He's gonna be the best legendary one. It's definitely gonna work with Charles Martel as well. And then the second best, so this would Richard I would be the first one from the legendary, and the second one would be Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, Charles Martel, Frederick I, Hannibal Barca. So Scipio has 5 legendaries he could match with. Now, I already mentioned about Richard I, why he would be the first one is simply for the healing, for the amount of healing. It's gonna help your Scipio keep the troops count high so he can keep pounding. It's very simple. Then you're probably wondering why I said Julius Caesar II. Well, why the second option is Julius Caesar? Well, Julius Caesar doesn't have healing, but what Julius Caesar has is another 15% troops capacity, and this is the reason why it brings him the second, because you kinda need to invest quite a lot in order to make this work. Why I'm saying is because Scipio already has a 10%, Julius Caesar can bring you another 15%, that brings to 25% more troops capacity that you can bring than any other setups. Well, other setups that don't have leadership, commanders. With the 25% more troops, you're definitely going to have a lot of attack. So you're definitely going to deal a lot of damage. So Scipio second skill is gonna go in for 2 seconds with 25% more troops. And this guy is gonna use his main skill. That's gonna be a lot of damage, I'm telling you, no joke. You're gonna create a huge and big punching bag. You know, you can take it, but you'll do hits. You know what I mean? And this is the same reason when I said Frederick. You'll have a lot of nuking from Frederick, healing from Frederick, and troops capacity. But this is the problem with the legendary, with this leadership legendaries. They become very, very good when you are next to maxing out their leadership skill, which is the troops capacity one. It's same with the Julius Caesar. That's when they become very, very viable. And it's the same thing with Hannibal Barca. Because Hannibal Barca can have a 10% troops capacity, and that's why I put in the last, because it's only 10% troops capacity. And he's mainly made for battling outside of your territory, Hannibal Barca. The reason I mentioned Charles Martel as the third one is because it doesn't have healing, because I said Richard first, second Julius, and then third Charles Martel. I said Charles Martel because it doesn't have healing, and that if you want to use Scipio as your main commander, you should try to bring only infantry, especially when you're going to use your Richard and Charles Martel, so you can benefit and boost your infantry as much as possible. And now for the last one we have Boudica. Now I mentioned about Scipio, I'm talking about Boudica as well. The talents, you're going to find them on that particular video, which I'm gonna put in the description below for all the epic ones. Now these are the talents of my Boudica, and the full path and how you should do this you're going to find on that video. Now I have to say that Boudica, and I mentioned about Lohar, they have this unique increased commander experience obtained by killing barbarians or neutral units if they grant experience. Boudica has 20%, Lohar has up to 70%. Now that brings Boudica to a very unique talent path, which is the peacekeeping path. Any peacekeeper, they need to have this yellow path. Up to this one, including this one. You gain 80% march speed just by doing this. 18 talents. That one can come later on. The Trophy Hunter, which grants you 15% resource chests. So this can come later on. But these 18, these are very essential. 18% march speed on her talents. Bonus experience and action points reduction. You should never group Boudica with Lohar. It's a waste of talents. Because talents only work from the main commander. The bonus experience is crazy for both of them, don't get me wrong. But it's a waste of experience to group them together. Now I already mentioned, and I probably put Boudica in most of the setups that I have mentioned about every single epic commander. Now if Boudica is going to be your main commander, I have to say that the best option for your Boudica would most likely be Hermann. If Boudica is your main commander, the best option that you could group her, if you want to use them for PvP, would be Hermann. So for PvP purpose. For barbarians it doesn't matter. If you want to use, when you use your Boudica to barbarians, don't get me wrong. Any commander that you want to level up, you can use Boudica against barbarians. So Boudica as a main commander against barbarians, she is a must. Because of the peacekeeping talents, is the same thing with Lohar. So when you do barbarians, she's main commander. Doesn't matter the levels of the other commander, just because of the peacekeeping talents. So that is sealed. For PvP would be Hermann. The reason why is for the amount of nuke these two commanders can bring together. The amount of nuke, the amount of bonuses, and I would highly recommend to bring only archers. Now the second option would be Joan of Arc that I would try with Boudica, for the simple fact that they have both of them, they have healing and troops damage, and then rage restoration. Because Boudica, the only path that she can work with is the skill one and the peacekeeping one that I've just shown you. So it's the same thing with Hermann. They have troops damage, they have rage restoration and a lot of nuke. But Joan of Arc has rage restoration, troops damage, healing factor. So there's gonna be a double healing team. The next option would be Scipio. You can bring more troops into the battle. Not to mention, yes, you can bring more troops into the battle. You have damage bonus, damage reduction, counterattack. For nuking purpose, after that is Eulji Mundeok, Pelagius, and if you're really in the early levels of the game, you can use Tomoe. My starting commanders, when I started the game, I used Boudica and Tomoe. Believe it or not, these are the two commanders that I started with, and they were doing charms. I mean, both of them together, they were really good. Rage Restoration, Tomoe was using her main skill quite often, so there was a lot of attack bonus to my troops, skill damage to my Boudica, damage reduction to my enemy, plus damage reduction from Boudica, so they were working quite well together. I was pretty impressed. They were doing charms. With Pelagius, I mentioned, is for the reason of healing. Both have nuking and rage restoration, so that is pretty great. Eulji Mundeok is for this skill and this skill, nuking, so they can work great together. Now, as part of the legendary ones, obviously, and no question about it, is gonna be Richard the First, and there is no question of if or when. Is for the healing, obviously. The healing at the moment it's pretty insane from the Richard the First, and if Boudica is on the skill pad, that means that Richard is going to heal quite often, so this would be the main option. The second option for Boudica, it might surprise you, but it can be Minamoto, because of the amount of nuking they have together. After that, Frederick, Boudica and Frederick, they can do a great setup together. She can work with Charles Martel as well, because I use them together. So with Charles Martel she can work as well. And she can also work with this dude, YSG. One combination I forgot to mention when I was talking about Hermann is El Cid. Not much love I showed to El Cid, but yes, I totally forgot about it when I was talking about Hermann, because I did the El Cid spotlight and I mentioned that they are the best pair together. Hermann and El Cid, they are the best pair together. Rage restoration and a lot of disability. Disablers, I'm sorry. So they are very good disablers together, so I forgot about to mention. So yeah, as I mentioning, Boudica has a lot of combination because he is a general commander. So mostly with almost anyone she can work, because her skills can benefit your troops in almost any setups. Boudica, Joan, Scipio, they are general commanders. Same as Frederick, Julius Caesar, they are not a specific troop commander, so that makes their utility in the any other setups, brings their utility. Alright, so I think I made a very long video. Wow, that is a 1 hour video. I can't believe I actually talked for 1 hour. Well, you wanted a pairing commander video, now you have it, and this is for the epic ones. I haven't even started with the legendary ones. Alright, until next time, this is your boy Legend Ronnie, and I'm gonna signing out. That's it. I'm no longer talking about it. That is enough. Peace out, yo. Take care.